WWE Crown Jewel. Champion versus champion versus champion versus champion. And it's your boy Icon with some WWE action as we talk about the wrestling. Let's talk about a little Crown Jewel action. I think we had about 7 or 8 matches on this show, which is a lot for a Triple H pay-per-view. I was actually very surprised about that, but it was definitely a good show. Like I enjoyed the first half of it a lot more than the second half, but we'll go through that. Let's talk about all the matches in between, and let's get started. So before we get started, hit that notification bell, subscribe to my YouTube channel, check out my other videos, my other reviews, my other wrestling reviews, and everything in between as we roll on for some more action. So the pay-per-view started. It started with the Bloodline match. And I was just like, dear God, is Roman Reigns not the main event for once? Like, I wasn't sure how to handle that. Like, I didn't know how to take that. And, you know, they did the whole thing where Solo and his camp, like the new Bloodline, they came out first. And then Roman came out with Big Jim by his side, and they threw up the ones. And then Jay came out last and did the whole "it's just me, Oos," and the Yee in and everything. And while that was going on, Roman was just looking at him like, look at this hot dog son of a bitch, right? So Roman wasn't very thrilled about the Yee in and everything. And there was some turmoil during this tag team. I'm still shocked that Roman wasn't the main event of the show, but, you know, during the match, there was some, you know, turmoil between him and Jay, some like miscues and everything. Like, you know, there was a moment where Jay, like, instead of tagging Roman, like he tagged Jay. Roman didn't really do a lot in the match, like until the end. So it's just funny because when you see Roman Reigns, you know, wanting to get the tag and he doesn't get the tag, and then he gets mad. It's like, you know, damn well you wasn't trying to work hard, like, you know, Saudi Arabia anyway. So towards the end, things break down towards the end, and then it gets to a point where Roman finally does get the tag. But then, you know, him and Jacob Fatu got into it, and of course Jacob Fatu is a beast, and it was hard to keep him down. They couldn't keep Jacob Fatu down. And then there was a moment where, like, you know, Solo, he ended up getting the spike because Roman, Roman, I think he took a headbutt from Jacob Fatu at one point. Like, Fatu basically got him down, and then, you know, Solo hit the Samoan spike on him. And surprise, surprise, not only was I shocked that Roman Reigns wasn't the main event of a pay-per-view, he actually took the pin. Like he actually got pinned by Solo Sikoa. And this is like, what, the second time he's been pinned in like 10 years? So that was kind of a big deal. Like, it was a very big deal to see, you know. And then after that, like the OG, like the new Bloodline had to win because all this that we're doing is getting us geared up for the War Games match. It's not about Saudi Arabia. It's about War Games. This whole thing is about War Games. So if you're building up to the War Games match, having the faces win at Saudi Arabia, it's like if Roman and the Usos win at Saudi Arabia, then who gives a shit about the about the War Games match? But now that they lost, you know, it gives them a chance to try to, like, you know, come back and get one more match and like one more fight. And then until we get to the War Games match, there's also going to be some turmoil, you know, between Jay and between Jimmy and between Roman. And then the new character, because after the match was over, the new Bloodline started kicking the shit out of the OG Bloodline, and then Sami Zayn showed up. And I knew Sami Zayn was going to get introduced, you know, because if you're doing a War Games match, which is genuinely like 5 people, they need more people on their team. It can't just be the 3 of them. Maybe this War Games match will only be 4 people, but then you still need another person. And then here comes Sami Zayn. Like, we saw the stuff on SmackDown when he was talking to Solo, and then he got in the ring, and him and Solo were having a conversation. And then while he and Solo were having that conversation, the Usos were like, we can't trust him or whatever. So now when Sami comes out to stop the new Bloodline from beating up the OG Bloodline, I thought Sami was going to turn heel and, like, team up with Solo Sikoa. But instead, you know, he gave him, you know, like the T-bone suplex, and then Sami started fighting back on behalf of the Bloodline, you know, on behalf of the OG Bloodline, which he was a part of. And while he was fighting the OG Bloodline, there was a moment where he accidentally haluva kicked Roman Reigns in the face when Roman tried to go for a Superman punch on Solo. They both tried to hit Solo. Solo moved, and then they hit. And then Sami basically knocked out Roman with the haluva kick. And then Jimmy got mad. He was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, that was clearly an accident. You know, get out my face." And then the two of them started beefing. So that's this whole big drama. It's this whole big drama, and it's just like, so unless Roman's gonna show up on Raw, like, is Sami and Jey Uso now officially SmackDown superstars? But obviously, it's gonna be a few weeks of the turmoil. But then the 4 of them are gonna get on the same page, and then they're gonna go into War Games, and then they're gonna defeat the new Bloodline in War Games. And then at some point, we do got to do Roman versus Solo for the Ufala, unless he takes the Ufala from the War Games match. So this was good, and it was nice to see Roman actually do the honors for like other people. Like he opened the show, he took the pin, he allowed the new bloodline to beat his ass, like at the end of the match. So all that was good to see, and I'm looking forward to see how they capitalize on it as we move forward. The next match was actually my favorite match of the show. It was the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag match. Damage Control, who apparently are faces now? Like, when did Damage Control turn face? Like, one day they were heels fighting against Bianca and Jade. They got into beef with the Meta Girls. But I'm like, you're still beefing with Bianca and Jade. I'm like, when did the crowd just decide that they were going to be baby faces? Like, they were like slapping high fives with the audience there. Anyway, so it's Damage Control versus the Meta Girls versus Bianca and Jade versus Chelsea and Piper. And the Meta Girls stole the show for me. I love me some Bianca and Jade. I fucks with some Bianca and Jade, but the Meta Girls are coming. And if Bianca and Jade are destined to have a one-on-one match where the two of them have beef, I would like to see the Meta Girls take the women's tag team championships from Bianca and Jade at WrestleMania, which, starts the breakup of Bianca and Jade, and then let the Meta Girls be the women's tag team champs, because, like I said, Miss Jakara Jackson, Miss Jackson If You're Nasty, and Lash Legend, like, they did the damn thing. And they're really making me want to see a one-on-one match now between Jade and Lash Legend, because when you watch NXT, obviously Lash is like the powerhouse, she's like the bigger, stronger girl out of all the other girls in NXT. But for some reason on the main roster, like, Jesus Christ, this woman's like the ninth wonder of the world. It's weird, because as big as Bianca is, as muscular as Bianca is, as muscular and as powerful as Jade is, Lash makes them look like Damage Control. Lash Legend is like towering. This woman is like the ninth wonder of the world. Like it's insane. But there was a lot of good action. And I said, but in the end, Bianca and Jade, like, they ended up doing the Doomsday Device, and then they ended up getting the 1-2-3 victory. And the camera did pan. The camera stayed on the Meta Girl. Jakara Jackson had this big ass lollipop, but the camera stayed on the Meta Girls towards the end. So we're definitely not done with this. And it's just like, are the Meta Girls officially getting called up now? Like, are they going to announce the call up, or are they still? Because they kept referring to them as like the NXT tag team. It's like an unofficial official call up, but it's not like a real call up. So like I said, but we'll see. I want to see more of them. Like, I want to see Jakara Jackson actually have some one-on-one matches on SmackDown. Like, I want to see Lash have some more one-on-one actions. I want to see some more interaction between the two of them. I mean, Chelsea and Piper didn't really do much in this whole thing, and Damage Control, they still beefing with everybody. So we'll see. We will see. And also, the women's bodysuits, the women of WWE, they're finding a way to make the full bodysuits look fashionable and like sexy and stylish, as opposed to like the basic black stuff and like the t-shirts they were wearing before. So I mean, kudos to that. I mean, it's Saudi Arabia, like, this is their country, it's their rules, but that doesn't mean you can't take those rules and flip it in a way that still, brings out like your best as a character. Because I loved everybody's outfit. I mean, Bianca left her sequence all over the damn ring. But kudos to Bianca and Jade Cargill, and we're moving on to the next one. Now the next match was Seth Rollins versus Big Bronson Reed, and I was disappointed. I was disappointed in the outcome, because it was a good match. Like, it was definitely a good match, but the problem that I had with it was, throughout the entire match, they kept saying, Bronson Reed, he wants to be a main eventer. Bronson Reed, he wants to step into the spotlight. If Bronson Reed beats Seth Rollins, it catapults him into the main event where he'll be taken more seriously. Bronson needs this match. Bronson needs this match in order to take the next step. And then Bronson loses the match. So you basically said, because you said he needs to win the match to take it to the next level, it's like, what? So now he's back in the catering, like he's down in the basement. Seth should not have won this match. And I don't care that when the match was over, Bronson stood right up and then stared at him like a whimpering bear. He should have won the match, because had Bronson Reed won this match, like, are we making new stars, or are we not making new stars? Seth Rollins losing this match to Bronson Reed would not have hurt Seth Rollins in any way, shape, or form. You should have had Bronson Reed win the first two matches and then have Seth win like the final match or something. But now, because it's like, now, even if Bronson wins the next match that they have, if the feud isn't over, if he wins the next match, it's like, I've already seen you do the JOB. So I thought that was a bad call. Seth Rollins picks up the match, but let's see if they can fix this, if they can rewrite this ship and put Bronson Reed back on the map as we move forward. So next up was the women's crown jewel championship match. World champion Liv Morgan versus WWE champion Nia Jax. And a lot of people were on social media complaining Liv Morgan won the match because of interference upon interference upon interference. But that's her character, and that's how she's supposed to win. I'm gonna say this regarding the because when Tiffany's music hit, like I cringed because I'm not a Tiffany Stratton fan. But I will say this: this is what I thought should have happened. I have no problem with Liv Morgan winning this because had Nia Jax won this match, people on social media would have been like, oh, she only won because she's related to The Rock and she didn't deserve it. So Liv wins the match and y'all still complaining that Liv Morgan won the match. This is what I thought they should have done. It should have been a moment where Liv and Nia were fighting. And then Tiffany comes down. She decides to cash in her money in the bank and turns the match into a triple threat match. Now remember, Tiffany Stratton's character, she's like the dumb blonde bimbo like airhead, and she's like presented as like not being too bright and being like, oh my god, ditzy. So it's presented to us like Tiffany's not the brightest bulb and like the brightest bulb in the socket. So if she would have kept, they should have did it where she cashed in, she makes it a triple threat. I would say she pins Nia. And then she's thinking like, oh my God, I pinned Nia Jax. I'm the WWE Women's World Champion. And then when she thinks she won the Women's WWE Championship, the referee hands her the crown jewel belt instead. And now she looks confused. The reason why, dummy, you were fighting, this match was for the crown jewel championship. So by you inserting yourself into this triple threat match, you basically cashed in to win the crown jewel title. And Tiffany should have became the crown jewel champion, which would have made her feel stupid because she actually didn't get a chance to win the world or the WWE women's title. But the fact that she pinned Nia Jax puts a rift between them because she's like, although you didn't take my belt, you tried to pin me, bitch. And like that would have been better. And I said, and I don't even like Tiffany Stratton. And I'm saying she should have cashed in and accidentally won the women's crown jewel kit championship. But like I said, that didn't happen. Thanks to Raquel Rodriguez Gonzalez Hernandez de la Vega Cruz, she was able to get the briefcase out of Tiffany's hand, keep Tiffany at bay, and then due to some foreseen cheating between Raquel and Dominic Mysterio, and it's getting to the point now where Dominic, Raquel, and Liv just need to leave the Judgment Day because the three of them are doing way more things than the Judgment, like Balor, Carlito, and McDonough, they're not the main act here. Like the three of them are like the main act. They should just separate them. But due to all that interference and all that cheating, Liv Morgan wins the championship. Triple H was there. He presented her with that big ass ugly belt, and she held it up high. She got a little emotional in the pre-show. But congrats. Like I don't got a problem with Liv Morgan. Like I never hated Liv Morgan. Like she's cool with me. So kudos to her. I'm actually glad Nia didn't win. Because I just didn't want to hear her talking more shit on SmackDown. And let's move on. But I'm also interested to see what Liv's gonna do on Monday now that she's the Crown Jewel Women's Champion. Next up, we had Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, and this match basically never got started. So Kevin Owens attacked Randy Orton during his entrance, and they brawled, and Adam Pearce threw the match out, and it was a no contest. I don't even know why the two of them came to Saudi Arabia. Like, you flew all the way to Saudi Arabia basically to not have a match. Yeah, there's really nothing else to say about that. Like, they fought, the match didn't end. The match got thrown away, and that was it. So the beef between the two of them will continue, and I don't know when they're going to settle this because, maybe the Survivor Series, but is the Survivor Series a big enough pay-per-view for the two of them to have like a big show, a big time confrontation? Is that going to get overshadowed by the War Games matches? But who knows? But yeah, we'll see. We're moving on to the next match. Then we had the triple threat match for the United States Championship. That man, him, Carmelo Hayes versus El Idolo Andrade versus L.A. Knight. Yeah. And I forgot this match was even happening. I'm going to be dead ass. When Carmelo's music hit, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about the United States Championship match. The three of them have been doing this for a few months now. And I'm not tired of it, but at this point, if we're going to come back to either Andrade or Carmelo eventually taking the belt off of LA Knight needs to fight someone else now before we come back to these two. it was nice to see Carmelo Hayes, like on the Riyadh stage, to like, be at the Crown Jewel stage. So I said that was dope. Like kudos to him. Nice to see that. But in the end, LA Knight won the triple threat match. He hit the BFT. Bob's your uncle. Hit it and quit it and split it. And we're out of here. And it's still your United States champion, which is LA Knight. And finally, the main event, the true main event, which is why we were all here, Herr Gunther versus Cody Rhodes for the men's Crown Jewel Championship. And first of all, it's just like with the Royal Rumble. When you do the men's Rumble and you do the women's Rumble, if a Raw women's superstar wins the women's Rumble, a SmackDown superstar is most likely going to win the men's Rumble and vice versa. When Liv Morgan, as the women's world heavyweight champion, won the Crown of the Jewel match, I said, well, obviously the WWE champion has to win for the men's match. And that's exactly what happened. Of course, it was an awesome match between the two of them, very physical, but the ending was some slick ass shit because obviously Cody likes to come off the ropes and hit the Cody cutter and do like all these weird springboard things that you don't think Cody's going to do. But Gunther said in an interview prior to the pay-per-view he was going to make Cody tap out. He was going to make him submit. He said he was going to win by submission. And I don't know why you would say that out loud. But so now Cody Rhodes knows you're trying to make him submit. You're trying to make him tap. But then what ended up happening was, I guess Cody went off the top rope to try to hit a Cody cutter. And then when he flew back to try to hit the Cody cutter, Gunther caught him and put him in a sleeper hold. But then Cody did the Bret Hart roll up at WrestleMania 8 and he got the 1-2-3 victory and he beat Gunther just like I said. And Gunther was pissed. Gunther was pissed. And I can't even I like that. I like the fact that when Gunther lost, he was pounding the mat and he was punching the floor because he knew that Cody basically got one over on him and he sneaked a victory on him. I thought that was excellent. I thought it was good. And then even like when it was over, Gunther went and shook Cody's hand, but when he shook his hand, I don't know what he said, but it sounded something more like, you got lucky, motherfucker. Like, and I'm gonna get you next time. But Gunther's that dude because he's still, like, Gunther's a weird type. He's like a respectable heel. Like, he wins his matches straight up without cheating. He doesn't cheat. And when he was beaten, when he was bested by, who was the better man on this night, he shook his hand like a man. And he was just like, yo, you won this. It's like he basically hit him with the 1980s cartoon villain line. He was like, well, Cody, you win this round, but I'll see you next time. Ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, I ain't got a problem with that. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, guys, Gunther's the man. But you can't beat the hometown boy, the crowd favorite, the face of the company. You can't beat the WWE champion like in Saudi Arabia because that's what the Saudis wanted. And kudos to Cody Rhodes. Like I said, he won the belt. He deserved it. He deserved it. But Gunther's now been pinned twice in 10 years, just like Roman Reigns, and he'll move on to keep crushing everybody on Raw until he eventually loses the belt to somebody. But that was it. That was how the pay-per-view ended, and thank you for tuning in. So, yeah, no, Crown Jewel was cool. Like, I give Crown Jewel like an 8.5. Like, it had a lot of action. Like I said, the women's tag match was my favorite match. Like, I love the women's tag match. And I said I did enjoy the main event. Like, I loved it. I like the Rollins thing just kind of like pissed me off. But, other than that, like I said, it was definitely a solid show. But share your questions, comments, and concerns down below. Let me know what you thought about Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. Let me know what you thought about the outcomes for each individual matches. And where do you think some of these storylines are going to go from here? And we will continue to talk about it. So check out my other reviews because I got NXT reviews up on my channel. I got WWE pay-per-views for this year up on my channel. I'm still doing the Penguin for you Penguin fans. Agatha All Along. The season finale is coming up for all you Marvel fans. We're still doing Superman and Lois, and I'm about to conclude that Tomb Raider for the Netflix series. So that was it, guys. So thank you for tuning in. So till next time for some more wrestling action. Maybe we'll do NXT One Night Stand. Like maybe we won't. 3,500. But until then, when we find out, take care for the crown. And we're out this